The wait is finally over. After 3 long, hard, tormenting weeks, we've made it. Though, I now feel like Old Man Luffy after waiting for so long. But here we are. One Piece Manga is back again. In the author's note, Oda-sensei expresses his gratitude as we waited through his break. And now that he's gotten his energy, he is ready to go all out again. One Piece Manga Chapter 1112, titled Hard Aspect. In astrology, an aspect refers to the angles formed by planets in relation to each other on a birth chart or a horoscope wheel. Obviously, in terms of One Piece, this is in reference to the Gorosei. They are known as the 5 elder planets and how hard they are to deal with. The title is very fitting for this chapter as the Gorosei begins to take further action. So watch right to the end of the video as Oda-sensei begins cooking again. The cover page of chapter 1112 is the 3rd volume of the limited cover story of Wano. In the 2nd volume of the series, we saw Yamato and Momonosuke having a brief chat while overlooking Wano in the Flower Capital Castle. In this series, Yamato is still in the Flower Capital Castle. Kinemon gives some money to Yamato as a parting gift and requests a favor from Yamato. What that favor is has yet to be revealed. Nevertheless, Yamato is happy to receive some money as she prepares to follow Oden's footsteps going around Wano. The chapter begins at the coast of Egghead Island. The onslaught of the Buster Call continues despite several setbacks by the Giants and the Pacifistas. As cannons barrage towards Egghead Island, one of the Marines reports that all the remaining Pacifistas on Egghead Island have been incapacitated. As the momentum continues to shift in favor of the Marines, another Marine orders them to keep firing on Egghead Island. Another Marine says that they can't let the Emperor Straw Hat's crew escape. The scene shifts near the northeast coast of Egghead Island. The last Pacifista is on the ground, completely incapacitated thanks to Nazjuro's frozen slash. Now that all the Pacifistas are incapacitated, Nazjuro continues to gallop towards the northeast coast where the giant ship is located. He has a new objective, and that objective is to eliminate Bonnie. He is aware of how bad things can turn out if Bonnie successfully escapes Egghead Island. Nazjuro says that even though Bonnie is no more than a 12-year-old girl, Vegapunk has given her the power to eradicate entire nations. As we have seen in several chapters now, Bonnie stands at the very top of the Pacifista command hierarchy. This is all thanks to Vegapunk. Eliminating Bonnie is the only way that the Gorosei can be at the top of the Pacifista command hierarchy once again. Nazjuro adds that Vegapunk's defiance is as foolish as it is insolent. The scene shifts to Kashi and Ulmo. As we had seen in chapter 1111, Dory blew his Jala horn. It was a signal of retreat now that Dory and Broggy found Luffy. Kashi tells the rest of the Giants to hurry back to the ship. Ulmo agrees with Kashi and adds that some scary-looking guys have just arrived. As the battleships continue firing towards Egghead Island, explosions are seen in many places. One of the captains of the Marines orders the battleships to target the ship of the giant warrior pirates. He wants the battleships to fire at the ship and sink it. That way, it would stop them from setting sail. Another order was relayed to go to the northeast front quickly. The scene shifts to the northeast coast of Egghead Island, where the giant warrior pirate ship is located. As we have seen towards the end of chapter 1111, the vice admirals of the Marines were in front of the giant warrior pirate ship, waiting for Bonnie. Frankie rushes forward, leaps in the air, and demands that they get out of the way. Chinzilla, aka Red King, leaps towards Frankie and says that he's not letting Frankie through. Chinzilla prepares to use his technique, Steam Knuckle, but Frankie is too fast for him. Frankie obliterates Chinzilla with his strong right. The Vice Admiral was defeated in an instant. Man, we need to show some love and appreciation to Frankie in this arc. He is willing to throw hands with Kizaru in chapter 1092. Then in chapter 1095, Frankie saved Luffy just as Saturn was about to pierce Luffy with one of his legs. And in chapter 1104, he blew a hole in Saturn with his radical beam. And now, he broke through an armament Haki-infused fist and instantly one-shot Chinzilla without Haki himself. This is super! Meanwhile, Bonnie tells the Giants to take care of her father. Kuma then leaps into the air. As Bonnie is in the air, Vice Admiral Pomsky wields his weapons with a head shaped like a seashell. He tells Bonnie to brace herself and calls her a stupid, miserable brat. He further says that they're not going to let her keep a single one of the Marine war machines. This enrages Bonnie as she reaches to touch Vice Admiral Pomsky's face. Pomsky could not react quick enough as Bonnie touches him and turns him into a kid. Bonnie says the war machine is not a weapon, it's her dad, and he is a hero, as she kicks Pomsky in the face. Vice Admiral Guillotine is on the sidelines, completely shocked. He thinks that Bonnie is too cruel to kick Pomsky, who transformed into a kid. He says that it's too hard to watch what's happening and begs for Bonnie to stop. The scene shifts to the Labo Stratum. The broadcast still continues to be played. Shaka asks Vegapunk Stella if he is ever going to drink that coffee of his. Vegapunk Stella tells Shaka not to tease him. He further adds that it's too hot for him to drink as his tongue is as sensitive as a cat. Shaka then tells Stella that there are only 4 minutes left. Stella takes a sip and yells as he nearly burns his tongue. This is actually quite funny. The Marines in the Gorosei are destroying Egghead, the Vegapunks are dying, Luffy and his crew are all over trying to get to the meeting point, and all the people around the world so far is watching Vegapunk drink coffee. In the Labo Stratum, York leads Mars to the room where Vegapunk's message began to broadcast. York tells Mars that this is definitely the room, and before York could continue to speak, Mars shoots a huge beam to destroy the room in an instant. York is taken by surprise. York begins to panic and tells Mars to wait and not do anything crazy. The broadcast continues to be played. Shaka tells Stella that there isn't enough time, while Stella is still fixated on drinking his coffee, by finding a solution to cool down the coffee. York tells Mars that his attack amounted to nothing. She tells Mars that if she was Stella, she would have made sure that the broadcast snail was well hidden. That is of no surprise, though. You are talking about the smartest scientist in the One Piece world here. Mars tells York that it does not matter where the snail was hidden. He will just continue attacking until the entire laboratory is destroyed. York tells Mars that that would be a huge mistake if he does that. York informs him that the second floor of Building B is dedicated to the development of weapons. To make it even worse, the first floor of the laboratory is where the power plant is located. This is the very power plant that is used to create the Mother Flame. And of course, York knows that very well. In chapter 1089, she was glad that she sent the sample of the Mother Flame to the Gorosei. It's that very sample that was used to destroy the Lulusia Kingdom. York further adds that the third floor of Building C stores a number of high-pressure gas cylinders. York then concludes by saying that if any of those are damaged, the outcome of the explosion would blow Punk Records to smithereens. Yeah, not a very smart move there, St. Mars. Mars then tells York to think of a solution. After all, he assumes that the satellites all share a similar thought process. York confirms Mars's assumption. She pulls up a weapon and tells Mars that she knows how to stop the broadcast. York says that they don't want to rack up any more sins, and that their relationship is already trouble enough. Now, did York just accidentally blurt out the truth? Are there more than 6 clones of Vegapunk? Maybe the end of this chapter will give us a hint. We'll get to that soon. Suddenly, Mars's attention is taken somewhere else. He looks up at Punk Records and tells York that he senses the voice of a small life form above. York is surprised and wonders if Vegapunk Stella actually hid the snail there. York then explains to Mars that the real source of the broadcast snail is shaped with a sort of triangular shell. It is the newest version of Den Den Mushi created by Vegapunk, and it's called Haishin Den Den Mushi, aka Distribution Den Den Mushi. Mars asks York where the entrance is as they proceed to Punk Records. The scene shifts to Stussy and Kaku in the Labo Stratum. Stussy is relieved that Mars has left the Labo Stratum. She adds that perhaps he was not interested in them. Kaku, who is still trapped in the bubble by Sanji, tells Stussy that the feeling is mutual and asks Stussy what monster that was. Stussy tells Kaku that based on what they overheard, that monster is one of the 5 elders. Kaku tells Stussy that it is a repulsive transformation. I'm sure if he had seen Mars face to face like Lucci did, he would have had the same reaction as Lucci. Kaku then asks Stussy why she is in the laboratory. He wonders if the Straw Hat crew had abandoned her. He admits that he would have been heartbroken if it wasn't for her recent betrayal with CP0.
Stussy tells Kaku that she decided to stay behind, as someone needs to be here to carry out the final mission. Kaku wonders what Stussy is talking about with this final mission. The scene shifts to the labo phase. Nami is surprised by what Edison had said. Edison tells Nami that there is no other option but to leave Stussy behind. He tells Nami that the barrier has to be lowered the moment the ship attempts its big escape. Edison then reminds Nami that the Frontier Dome can only be disarmed from the command tower. Edison also tells her that Stussy wanted to do it herself. Edison says that they should respect Stussy's decision, and that getting out of Egghead Island alive is the way to show their gratitude to her. Nami is still surprised. She says that this is a chance that they won't waste, but before she could continue talking, Robin intervenes. She is curious about how they are going to cover the distance that Vega Force 1 was originally going to fly them. For those of you who may have forgotten, the Vega Force 1 was supposed to fly the Thousand Sunny before it was destroyed by the impact of Kizaru's attack. Edison responds to Robin and says that according to his calculation and wisdom, they are 100% guaranteed to crash and burn. Robin asks if Edison was serious about his calculations. Moments later, Usopp tells everyone that he has finished loading the Kuda burst. He tells everyone that the moment Zoro and the others get on board, they can take off towards the sea. Usopp then concludes his update by telling them that if they do not make it, they'll just have to improvise and rely on everyone's powers. It's clear that Luffy's influence is rubbing off on the crew. Edison thinks that the Straw Hats are a rowdy bunch. He says that people say miracles happen because guts triumph over all. It is a theory that he loves, even though he is a scientist. In that moment, Edison shocks everyone by jumping off the cloud. They wonder what could possibly have gotten into Edison's head. He tells everyone that he's going to make sure the Thousand Sunny reaches the ocean, and to just trust him. He calculates the projected damage and passes through the barrier, which explodes. But Edison is still alive. The scene quickly shifts to the coast of Egghead Island. The marine ships are being pulled by a vortex from the island. The scene shifts to the center of Egghead Island, where we can see the origin of the vortex. St. Jude Peter is sucking the air all around. Everything and everyone in the way is being pulled towards St. Jude Peter's wide mouth. Oh come on, the amount of euphemisms! Let's just add one joke, please! Dory, Broggy, and Luffy try to run away, but the force is just too strong in this one. As they continue to be pulled back, Luffy's face looks funny, and his teeth look like a horse. Luffy yells, "Damn it!" as he runs towards a building. With his Toon Force, Luffy kicks an entire building and causes it to separate from the ground. Luffy then tells Jupiter that if he is so hungry, he should try chewing on the building, as Luffy throws the building to Jupiter's mouth. Immediately after, Jupiter is down, as Dory and Broggy begin to run forward with Luffy just behind them. Luffy begins to lose his footing, and is becoming out of breath. In that moment, Luffy turns to Old Man Luffy, as he reaches his limit in Gear 5. Dory is shocked by Luffy's transformation, as both Dory and Broggy see Luffy as an old man for the first time. Luffy tells them that he is out of food and power. Broggy asks Luffy if he wants to try some of their halkarti. Luffy wonders what that is as Broggy gives halkarti to him. As Old Man Luffy starts eating, he wonders what that smell is. Broggy tells Luffy that it's a fermented shark. It is an emergency ration from Elbaf. Broggy tells Luffy that while it may stink, it's tasty. I had to check if there's such a food in real life, and there is. Halkarti is based on a national dish of Iceland consisting of Greenland shark and other sleeper shark. It is cured with a fermentation process and hung to dry for 4 to 5 months. That would explain why the smell is pretty nasty. A moment later, Luffy gets his energy back and is back to normal. Immediately after, Dory notices Warcury charging towards them. Now that Luffy has regained some energy, he is ready to stop Warcury. Luffy jumps into the air and switches into Gear 3rd. Luffy uses and hits Warcury's head. But that dealt 0 damage to Warcury. This is the same attack that hurt Base Kaido. Luffy screams in pain. Warcury's head is so tough that Luffy injures his hand trying to attack Warcury. Warcury glares and the scene shifts to the back entrance of the Labo Stratum. Saturn is climbing up to the cloud. Two of his legs are seen as it pierces the top of the cloud. Usopp readies his slingshot as he wonders who that is. Chopper says that it looks like a crab. I can't wait for Chopper's reaction when he sees Saturn. The scene shifts to the northeast coast of Egghead Island. In front of the giant warrior pirate ship, one of the giants is slain with an attack out of nowhere. The next panel is scary. The very person that slain the giant with a single attack is none other than Ethan Baron v. Nazjuro. His aura is just cold. Bonnie wonders who that is as Nazjuro stands before them. The scene shifts to Punk Records at the Labo Stratum. The broadcast continues as Shaka tells Stella that there is only 1 more minute left. 4 chapters and 9 minutes have passed? This is definitely the shortest 10 minutes in One Piece history. St. Mars turns back to his human form and sees the Haishin Din Din Mushi. As he approaches the Din Din Mushi, he thinks that fortune did not favor Vegapunk this time. Suddenly, St. Mars hears something strange. He begins to hear the sound of bubbles. Mars looks up and notices something with a serious face. And the chapter ends. What is this something that has gotten St. Mars to be so serious about? Could it be another Vegapunk satellite that York accidentally revealed when she said they don't want to rack up any more sins? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Even though this was a setup chapter, it's definitely lining up for peak chapters after peak chapters from here on. Especially now that there's only 1 more minute left. Press like if you enjoyed the video. And if you don't want to miss out on future One Piece chapters like this one, definitely subscribe and hit that bell icon. There will be no break next week, so I shall see you in the next chapter.